Let's talk for just a moment about really the history of this event and my background and the background of the team that's involved. I am a radio guy, or I was for a long time. I grew up in California, which is where I live at the moment, and I first came out to Rhode Island to go to Brown University to get my undergraduate degree. And while I was there, I worked at a radio station called 95.5 WBRU, which is a sort of a college radio station and sort of not. It's a college radio station that operates like a commercial radio station. After I graduated, I went on to do radio in St. Louis and Boston and Seattle, and then I came back to run WBRU as a professional. And when I came back to run WBRU, I was putting together events like the WBRU Summer Concert Series. So every summer, BRU puts together a number of concerts, outdoor concerts, and bands play. Bands like Third Eye Blind and Everclear and The Killers and, rock bands like that that I've booked over the years. I started the WBRU Cheap Date series, which was a series of inexpensive concerts there in Providence. One of the things that probably got more people's attention than anything that I did when I was at WBRU was an April Fool's Day joke where this was 10 years ago, back in 2003, where we pretended to flip the radio station, and we renamed it Buddy FM after Buddy Cianci, who is the legendary and notorious former mayor in the city of Providence. Ironically, he's now a radio personality himself, but I believe that when you're in radio, April Fool's Day is the greatest holiday ever, and any good April Fool's Day joke starts several days in advance of April Fool's Day. So we actually announced several days earlier that we were flipping the radio station, and then we actually flipped it, and then we staged this whole sort of fake riot as the air staff took the station back over, and it was a lot of fun. NBC, the local NBC station, ran it as their lead story, thinking that it was actually true, and I knew I was in trouble when that happened. But we made a rule that anybody leaving the building on the day that the station flipped had to carry a big cardboard box out with them so that it looked like we were all cleaning out our desks. And I've actually posted audio of that on the website today. So, I put that together. I left WBRU. I formed an event production company and helped launch a number of events, including the Discover You Holistic Health and Wellness Expo that's coming up again. I think this is 4 or 5 years now that it's been going. Helped Frank Martucci launch the New England Nightclub and Bar Expo over at Twin River, helped both Frank and Mike Lester launch the Iron Tender Bartending Competition, and worked on an event in 2009 called the World of Flavors Competition, which was 30 restaurants competing in downtown Providence for a $15,000 prize package. And that was a fantastically hard event to put together. Anytime you're putting an event together where you are building a venue where none exists, like we did in the skating center, it is difficult. And I can tell you all sorts of stories about being the sort of the go-between between the health department and the fire department. The health department, which is a state agency, would tell us that every restaurant cooking had to be underneath a tent because if a bird was flying by and something should happen, it would be unsanitary. And then the fire department, which works for the state, works for the city, not the state, they will tell you that you can't have an open flame underneath a tent, and it's just not safe from a fire perspective. And of course, they won't talk to each other. I don't even know how we navigated all that, but we did, and we put it together, and it was a fantastically well-run and well-executed event. It did not generate a lot of revenue. In fact, it generated a negative amount of revenue. And so we didn't do it again in 2010. And that's one of the reasons why, our big goal is to not lose money with the Taste Trackers Food Tourism Conference, and to ensure that there actually is a second year so that we can grow this and make this an event that comes back. I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned from doing that event. So after that, I actually left Providence. I went up to Boston and started working in social media marketing, and on the side started a social dining group called Mystery Meat. And Mystery Meat was it was just a hobby. And it was a bunch of foodies who got together at a restaurant to have a meal The catch was they didn't find out where they were going until 24 hours in advance. And so you would only get adventurous foodies. The idea was really a flash mob meets dinner party. What if a bunch of people got together to have a meal and then went their own separate ways and never saw each other? And it evolved into the mystery meat concept, and the mystery meat concept really took off in Boston, much faster than I expected it to. And we got a lot of press up there, the Boston Globe, the WBUR, the NPR station up in Boston, and it was just really successful. And the food blogging community up there really embraced it. And I ran that for about a year and a half, and then I moved back to California because my sister had a kid, and I wanted to see him grow up and be a part of his life growing up. And when I came back to California, I actually continued to run Mystery Meat for a while by having local food bloggers host the dinners, and then I put it on hiatus. And the truth is I didn't actually expect to pick it up again. And so we stopped Mystery Meat there, but I had a lot of fun doing it. About 11 months ago, I was involved in an accident. Accident may not be the right word. I was the victim of a violent crime. I was walking down the street in San Mateo, and two girls in their 20s in a car stopped me and asked me for directions. And I said, "Where are you trying to go?" And they said, "Well, we don't have an address, but we have a phone number." And I pulled out my iPhone, and I dialed the number they gave me. And I held my phone up to the ear of the driver. And she grabbed my wrist, and she hit the accelerator. And I don't remember anything after that. I woke up in Stanford Hospital with road rash all over my body, with a concussion that lasted a month. I was hospitalized for 5 days, but the real damage was nerve damage to my left arm. My left arm has been paralyzed. I've actually been on disability and in physical therapy in the year since that injury happened. But when you go through an injury like that, you sort of hit a point where you run out of Breaking Bad episodes to watch on Netflix, and you say, okay, well, I need something to do, even if I can't, I'm not ready to go back to work full time. And I came back to Mystery Meat. I loved doing it. I had an incredible amount of fun doing it, and I really, I was surprised, but I wanted to return to it. And so I picked Mystery Meat back up. And started adding new things to it. We added a San Francisco chapter. We added a Seattle chapter. We're about to launch a St. Louis chapter. I added a podcast because I was a radio guy and I missed being in radio and I loved broadcasting and I loved interviewing people. So I started interviewing food bloggers all over the country. And these were all things that I could do I could do from my bedroom, and through the power of the internet, was able to make happen, even though I was recuperating from this injury. And then the idea for the event came across. So not only have I been putting this entire event together from across the country, but I've really largely been doing it from the confines of my home because of the injury. And so I'm on the fence about whether I should, share that whole story because, it feels a little strange to me, not because I'm uncomfortable talking about it publicly, but because I'm uncomfortable talking about it in connection with a project where I'm asking for money from other people. But this project holds a special place in my heart because in a lot of ways this is very much about me rehabilitating and reintegrating back into society and becoming a productive member. And so that's one of the reasons why I really want to see this event come through and happen. Then we launched the podcast, and like I said, we came up with the idea for the event. And I told you about how I called up Kristen Adamo and Matt Jennings, and very excited with some of the other people that I've been able to bring on board. Ashley Keller, who worked with me at WBRU, and Ashley is fantastic. She's one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with. And Ashley was the top salesperson at WBRU. She left WBRU a few months ago because her husband relocated for work, and so she moved down to Connecticut, and so she is now hanging out her own shingle and helping people with events find sponsorship and connect them with sponsors. And so I'm really excited that Ashley Keller is joining this project, and she's absolutely fantastic and already connected us with a number of sponsors and is working on a number of others. And then there's a number of other people who have been really instrumental in getting this event as far as we've gotten. One is Katrina White over at the RIEDC, who is very involved with culinary tourism from a state level. Lynn McCormick and Michael Cristofaro, who are over on the Arts and Tourism Council in City Hall, and of course Barnaby from Waterfire has been very, very helpful as well. So a lot of great people involved, and really excited about the team that's involved. So give me a second here to grab some water, and then we'll talk about the Kickstarter campaign.